Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Dante's game playthrough again, and more upgrades, because this is how we start every part, because every part starts at the beginning of a mission, and this is the beginning of a mission, going through the menus, which are actually almost as boring as Devil May Cry 2's. I'm actually impressed. A lot of Osiris's names are named for moves that Nero did, like Osiris, instead of Stinger, has the Streak move, which is basically Stinger except it sweeps, which I actually kind of liked Nero's version of that move better than Dante's in 4. It hit more things.
Osiris
out a lot of
is
crowd.
an Egyptian mythology reference.
Egyptian god of the dead, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Osiris is the name of the scythe. Hi, Pillbug. And Arbiter is the name of the axe, I think.
Okay, I'm not too familiar with Egyptian mythology too much, so...
All you really need to know about...
All I know is that
Devil
they
May
came in
Cry
god card form.
but it was called Slifer in America. Not really sure why they changed the name from one god to another, but whatever. Anyway, this was one of the scenes that you saw if you played the demo, because this is the demo mission.
Hooray.
So what's the Neo Dante costume?
It's actually something from a movie, I think, called The Crow. It's a really weird reference for this game to make, but yeah, this costume is based on something external to the series. I think it's actually a cool costume design, although it's even edgier than Dante already looked, so mixed feelings there. Anyway, yeah, he knocked a can out of someone's hand in front of one of the security cameras, and...
No, it wasn't even knocking the can. It just
He was being a dickwad.
But the camera was going to see him anyway. They're just walking out in public.
He did just find out that the guy had that the soda was poison.
Yeah, but he didn't
still...
have to be a dickwad about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if he came up to them like someone like in Greenpeace, they just ignore him anyway.
Well, true.
Now,
so, you know what? That's not going to get him to stop drinking it either, so you know what? Just leave him alone. Don't be a dickwad.
Yeah, well, speaking of the soda and the morbidly obese man that Dante was just harassing on the street, this game really tries to be heavy-handed with the soda, with the soda conspiracy thing, because that's another internet philosophy thing where, you know, the big man is trying to keep everyone down by making all the unhealthy things cheap and all the healthy things expensive. And I'm not sure the big man is coordinated enough with itself to really conspire that kind of thing.
Not to mention that I don't think the internet philosophy is thinking itself all the way through, considering the diet of most internet nerds I know. Just saying.
I'm working on it.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I am. I haven't had Pepsi and Coke in a good few months.
But yeah, it's like, you know, the billboards, when in the real world they're like model muscle men and stuff, but in Limbo they suddenly the person on the billboard is really, really, really fat. So it's like, you know, while the demons are trying to promote this image of the ideal person, they're also trying to promote obesity and unhealthy living.
Makes them easier to control.
Yeah, but all of this is social commentary, remember that.
Yes, I'm aware. Just, you know, I'm playing along with it.
They want to turn us into this, Neo.
Why a Duracell specifically?
They paid for the product placement.
Bastards.
Now, I actually have, I forget if it's a DLC thing or an upgrade that you buy, but I have a thing that beeps whenever I'm near one of the Lost Soul secrets. So every so often you might not hear it because we're talking over it, but every so often I just abruptly stop and start wildly looking around. Yeah, it's because the beeping started.
DLC in the context of this game sounds like an abbreviation for another Devil May Cry game.
DLC, Devil...
Dante loves candy.
Dante loves candy, sure. Yeah, let's go with that. Of course, since this is the demo mission, they make a point to show off a lot of pointless Limbo world warping stuff that you don't really see as frequently through the rest of the game, unfortunately, because it's a cool effect.
Well, of course, they have to have all the cool crap in the demo so people buy the game.
Yeah, to be fair, it's a pretty good mission for a demo. And it's not like the rest of the game is, you know, inferior to this by any stretch.
So why are you going out of your way to collect the stars if you never use any of them?
Those are health stars, and in this game, I do occasionally take cheap shots. Although I should mention another thing that makes this game easy. Much like Devil May Cry 2, getting hit doesn't actually lose you that much health.
Well, you also have a pretty big health bar, from what I can tell.
Now, this is actually pretty amusing. That particular wall there, that comes up to block your path, it's actually blocking you from a secret, and if you have the gauntlet, you can punch it out of the way. These things are actually the only other reason you want to use the guns. There are these random Limbo chunks that come out and try to saw blade you to death, and they hover in the air for like 15 full seconds before they do, so you just shoot them down until they die.
I like that he calls his guns girls, though, because normally they're a phallic thing, and phallic means...
Oh, well,
penis.
that's actually a callback to the original Ebony and Ivory, which had pictures of women on their handles.
Okay, never mind. So much for that.
Yeah, and
there's a hit the truth of that. So usually when men are really take pride in their guns, they name them after females.
Ships, guns, cars, etc.
Yeah.
When these things are mostly just compensation for your dick. So, I'm sure Freud would have a field day with that.
I don't call my dick Ebony.
Well,
or do you, John?
Here's the thing to keep in mind as far as the guns go, though. Some of these lines may have been written with the original Dante in mind. And the original Dante actually had the original Ebony and Ivory designs. Not the original Dante, the one they showed in the launch trailer. He actually had the same gun design as canon Dante. They made these Joel Schumacher guns, like, at some point after that.
Alright, so here's a question I wanted to ask, 5 parts in, but why did they feel the need to reboot the series in the first place? Did DmC 4 not do well, or...?
That was Capcom's idea, and Capcom has been trying to do something quote-unquote different with the series since actually Devil May Cry 4.
Well, 4 had Nero, with, a different character.
I don't really know why they felt the need to do that, because between Devil May Cry 1 and 3, I didn't feel like the series was stagnating at all.
Yeah,
and although 4 had a different protagonist and a different fighting style, for the first half of the game anyway, it didn't really feel like it was doing anything really revolutionary, and the fact that it came out so close to Bayonetta really underlined that, to be honest, because Bayonetta felt like more of an evolution on the formula than Devil May Cry 4 did.
Do you think it wasn't because enough of general interest in what was already established?
Well, Devil May Cry 3 didn't sell very well, but that wasn't because Devil May Cry 3 was bad, that was because Devil May Cry 2 was bad.
I thought Devil May Cry 3 was considered like the best one, though.
Oh, it is, but here's the thing. Those sales are based on the success or failure of the game that came directly before. Devil May Cry 2 sold a lot of copies, because Devil May Cry 1 was so good. But Devil May Cry 2 was a massive disappointment on a lot of levels. Also, this is our first blue enemy, and we're going to spend a lot of time fighting these things because damage output is pretty bad.
But you get those anomalies though every once in a while where it's just a matter of what platform the game or just the general opinion on the titles are. Like for Resident Evil 4, I bring up specifically, was initially a GameCube exclusive, and it was a fantastic game. It still is, but nobody played it.
Yeah.
Which is why it got on the PS2 and other game systems to begin with. And then you got Bayonetta, which I thought was a fantastic game. But nobody wanted to fund a sequel.
Okay.
Nobody wanted to fund a sequel because it was so controversial.
Okay, so hold on.
That can't be just it.
Okay, I found a chart from Capcom that says the sales numbers for the series in total. The Devil May Cry 4 is actually sold the most with 2.35 million. Devil May Cry is just over 2. Devil May Cry 2 is 1.7 and 3 is 1.3, which honestly, if you're gonna whine about your sales for a game that broke 1 million, shut up. That's just my opinion. In DmC, Capcom expected 2 million, but it only, at the end of the year it came out, but it only ended up selling 1.2, and I think as of June of this year, 1.6 have been sold. So
you want to see a really funny number? Check this game's sales numbers in Japan. They're terrible.
None, basically?
Is it 2?
Basically. At one point, I think there was exactly 1 sale. I'm not.
What's
really
what's the head of the development of this game?
Well, this is Western developed, right?
It's yeah, it was.
And
it was
that
made by Ninja
explains
Theory.
that explains it, really.
Yeah,
They don't
partially.
like 9 times out of 10, Japan will not go for a Western developed game like at all. I was surprised that that Banjo-Kazooie ended up, I think, breaking a couple 100,000 in Japan, because it's just they
Well-
like their homegrown games.
That's true a lot of the time, but not all of the time. Like Skullgirls, I hear is actually pretty popular in Japan.
Well, that's why I said 9 times out of 10, because there is
Yeah.
the one time.
It's like a good game is a good game, and they're gonna go for good games regardless.
I think art style has something to do with it too, though.
Yeah.
You know, you're not gonna in Japan specifically, and of course I'll be talking out of my ass. If anybody wants to say in the comments that I'm totally wrong, it's just that you can't sell something like Gears of War in Japan. That's probably also why Call of Duty and the likes of that don't do well in Japan either.
Well, there's a whole bunch of different reasons for that, but there's also a lot of stigma that they just prefer their own homegrown stuff. They just won't prefer Western stuff no matter how good it is.
Yeah, it's almost borderline cultural xenophobia in a way, but yeah. It's I'm not gonna bring it up as a criticism, but it does grate on me sometimes.
That's why the criticism is more of it's a reality, and
It's basically why
reckon.
Xbox just doesn't do well in Japan no matter what they try.
Xbox's main market in Japan is porn games, and I wish I was kidding about that.
It's just weird that they keep on trying, though, because Sakaguchi made Blue Dragon, I think it was, with Akira Toriyama. Basically like all of the stuff that Japan normally goes for, and it was exclusive on the 360, so it ended up flopping. Because like no matter how hard they tried, you just can't get Japan to get on the Xbox for.
Well, I like to think that's not because of the cultural xenophobia, more like Blue Dragon is a really dull fucking RPG.
Well, no, John, have you seen the sorts of games that Japan will play? I mean, serious.
I'm talking strictly Blue Dragon. I played Blue Dragon. I did not like Blue Dragon.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying you have to. It's just I'm just saying like it. No matter, I think like no matter how hard you try, I just think that it's just one of those things that nope, they're not gonna go for it.
Well, all this is really irrelevant to DmC because DmC is not a particularly good game, and I wouldn't expect Japan to go after it.
Well, then again,
regardless.
why would you? If it's not a particularly good game, why do you think it would break 1 million copies in the West anyway?
Especially after all the public outcry.
Well, the West are also the ones who buy Madden every year.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where
Different demographics, though.
It's just I'm guilty of this too. So I'm poking fun at myself at this, but we're the sort of game culture where it's just like, oh my god, look at this game, it's gonna suck so bad, and then we buy it day one,
Yeah.
So I like to think the only reason I did that with Lost World is because we had BrainScratch, but I'm also a whore, so I probably would have gotten it anyway.
and how?
Well, in any case, what was I gonna say before we got off on this whole tangent?
Where'd you learn this stuff?
Virgil taught me the basics of demonology.
I don't even remember. I had something in mind and I lost it.
Said it would help me to focus
Do we
on
blame
something
Dante?
constructive instead.
This isn't the only time that Cat does something like this. By spraying symbols on certain objects, she can create points that you use your grapple abilities on to affect Limbo.
Shit. Cops. I gotta go. I'll find you.
But, this is the only time she ever does it on something really interesting. Like, for the rest of the game, she mostly breaks down a wall. But in this case, we just pull the stairs out and make ourselves a platform, and that was a really cool effect. I wish they did that stuff more often. But a lot of the time, the stuff that you actually affect Limbo with is kind of dull.
Well, it just seems primarily pull this out to use it to get up here.
Yeah, but it looked a lot more like, a dedicated art design choice with the stairs. Whereas, look at these platforms. These 3 platforms here are completely identical. They're the same exact platform, copy-pasted 3 times.
Well, they can't make a new platform for each one you jump on in the entire game. Well, I mean, they can, but that would delay development by a good 12 months.
I just wish they mixed it up a little better than they do. Because, you know, the Limbo concept seems cool, but it's undersold in the game as a whole.
I still like the look of it, though.
Oh, yeah.
It's getting a little bit repetitive to me, I'm gonna say.
Already, yeah. That's not really going to change. It's like, you know, it kind of overstays its welcome. And I do like that all the environments are unique environments, you know, a different area rather than backtracking through areas for the second half of the game, as was Devil May Cry Custom before this point. At the same time, though, they don't really do as much with the areas to, you know, make it feel unique.
Is that why you feel it's repetitive, Ted?
Well, just visually, it's just a whole lot of red and just, you know, sort of dilapidated building type areas. And, you know, I think that maybe if they had, you know, when you were fighting, they switched to Limbo and you were walking around, you get the normal thing, it might be a little bit more visually interesting, just so you could get a slightly different color palette in there every now and again. But, you know, it's just, to me, it's not after the first couple of levels, it's not a particularly interesting aesthetic.
What? So if the battles were random battles in the Shin Megami Tensei series,
maybe a little bit.
you just get sucked into a demonic void for 2 minutes, and then you beat the enemies, and you're back in town talking to people. That's basically the Raito games in a nutshell.
I can appreciate Limbo, if only because, you know, if we had, say, Limbo only appear when you had battles, then we'd be primarily doing all the platforming and wandering and exploration.
Okay, well,
in
maybe
the
not
real
just
world.
maybe not just in battles, but like only in.
But
Like, if like the parts where you were just walking around normally were more.
Because being in Limbo, I think gives the game the excuse to why they can do all the shit that's happening around Dante right now. But you know, one of the things that I criticized the original Devil May Cry for was its bleak color palette. I thought the game looked dull. Like, in just terms of color choice, you know, the interior of the castle, everything, especially in the later half of the game where everything is dark. I didn't like that. You know, this game visually I find much more appealing, and not because of the higher graphical fidelity. That's not fair on DmC 1's part, but color choice, I like it more.
Well, color choice. It also varies the locations more. Even if you're always in Limbo, and there's always that Limbo-tastic, you know, color palette going on, you're in a different area every time, so they can vary that more. Whereas Devil May Cry 1 was a 4-hour game stuck in and around one castle. So
yeah, it had length on its side, so it wouldn't get that repetitive, but I'll still criticize it when I see it, so... You know, that's just the kind of guy I am.
Oh, I guess I didn't mention this, but there are different, you know, weapon skins for the for specific weapons in particular. And I'm using the samurai skin now, which is why my scythe and axe looks so primitive all of a sudden.
Well, I saw one of the skins you can have for your weapons was bone. Now, why do you have
bone?
different skins for your weapons?
They come with the costume packs, actually, I think.
Well, why not?
I
really.
I forget. I don't think I
It's
actually
odd.
paid for the DLC myself. I think my brother bought this game, and my brother bought the DLC, and I'm pretty much mooching off of him for this playthrough because we share the same room and the same television, and I get to play all the stuff he buys.
How much is the DLC for this game?
I think Virgil's Downfall might be $15.
$15 for like an hour of what?
It's like an hour and a half, maybe. You're also playing as a completely different character, and there are story, kind of, and...
Well, yeah, but you're playing as that character for the one... It's not like... Can you play as Virgil in the main missions in, like, a free mode or something?
I wish. Devil May Cry 3 did that, and it was awesome, but Virgil is stuck in his own missions.
Okay, that's... You see, that's sort of bugged
That's
me.
disappointing.
Yeah, because, you know, maybe it's just because I'm spoiled by Nintendo, and, you know, Mario Kart for $12 getting basically another half of a game, or Hyrule Warriors for $20 getting, like, another pretty much 40 hours of content, but I don't know, that just seems a little bit excessive to me.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say content in a Dynasty Warriors game is difficult to produce as content for this kind of game, but
Okay,
yeah.
good. Granted, but, you know.
But Mario Kart, on the other hand, a whole 8 tracks, 4 cars, The 3 characters.
No, no, three characters that actually matter. You also get Cat, Peach, Tanuki, Mario, and Dry Bowser, but
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm just talking about per pack. You know, they added 2 Grand Prix per pack. That's a quarter of the game's content right there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it should be.
And Virgil's downfall. One of the reasons I don't really want to record it is because it's recycled areas.
So we wouldn't. It's nothing different to see, except
Nothing
for
real-
controlling
Nothing
Virgil.
real. Virgil's gameplay is interesting, but at the same time, he plays completely different than he did in Devil May Cry 3. Like, completely different. And I just don't think this particular brand of completely different is a good different, because Virgil was already really fun to play as it was, and I wish they'd done more of his actual style in this. As it stands, it feels kind of like a throwaway character.
So-
Also, this moment leads up to one of the only chuckle-worthy jokes in the game.
Okay, so is Limbo being controlled by something, or is it just its own thing? Because, like, if it's being consciously controlled by Sputter or whatever, why doesn't he just drop the things and have Dante fall in the pit?
This
No
place
idea.
is a creature of chaos.
I have no idea what it is, and it's really never explained.
Well, it has to be a living entity. If it's, actively fucking with Dante.
I laughed. I'll admit I laughed at that.
Okay, yeah, that's
just-
pretty funny.
And that's where the demo would end.
Footage of the terrorist responsible for the recent attacks.
But yeah, we're seeing more of Raptor News Network, and yes, Raptor News Network is going to be a level.
Remember his
What?
face, people.
Yeah, Raptor News Network is going to be a level.
Inform the
Like
police
the
immediately,
actual
but do not
news
approach
network
him.
building? Or...
He has a
No,
history
no,
of
the
physical
network,
violence
the news network
and
is going to be a
a
level.
known
You'll see.
sexual
Oh, okay.
deviant.
I'll leave it then.
So are they supposed to be making a point here by calling everyone a terrorist?
It's, it's actually a really tired cliche in video games where the good guys wind up being branded terrorists by the bad guy government.
Yeah, okay, when you said that this was heavy-handed, like, I thought that, oh, okay, but this is like so heavy-handed that your hands are, like, literally, like, nailed to the floor. And
Pinned to the ground.
you can't pick them up.
Yeah.
Another 3 upgrades for the beginning of next part. See you guys later, everybody.
Oh, do we get to
we
see
ended
your
on-
leaderboard so you can measure your
I was
EP?
about to say we ended on time for once, and then you started talking.
Damn it, Ted.
Well, I want to see how big your
Damn it.
E-penis is. How good are you on the leaderboards?
I have no idea. I've never cared enough to check.
Keep your eyes off of my E-penis.
John, your E-penis is so big. Show me your City Escape score again.